Chapter 9 is all about the move-in process. The steps for the move-in process are as follows. Number 1, you first create the lease agreement. So after the applicant has been approved in AppFolio, you go to the applicant summary and change status to approved in our system. Then we would go to tasks and click on convert to tenant. Then it's very important that the move-in date is accurate so that we can then create the lease. The lease should include about 13 or 14 addendums, including flood disclosure addendum, insurance information addendum, required insurance addendum, mold and mildew addendum, pest control and bedbug addendum, pet agreement, which is left blank if there are no pets, smoke-free addendum, sub-meter water addendum, utility addendum for AJD and Brubs LLC or any other future company we utilize for these services, tenant information sheet, no satellite or satellite information addendum, among others. Pursuant to Assembly Bill 1482, and as of 2020, all new tenants will have a maximum month lease of 10 months. Try to make sure leases do not expire in December, January, or February because those are months harder to rent. And for existing tenants to renew their lease, we can provide a 12-month contract. Note that rent can only be increased 5% plus inflation until 2030 or any legislative changes. And this is again pursuant to Assembly Bill 1482. Number 2, create a pet agreement. Pet agreements are created while creating the lease agreement. Always double check that there's a pet deposit and a monthly fee. For dogs, as of June 2020, we are charging a pet deposit of $500 and a pet monthly fee of $50 per dog. For cats, pet deposits are of $250 and a $35 monthly fee per cat. Number 3, we can only create a payment plan if we're charging more than 1 month security deposit or even as a courtesy for the pet deposits. But we do need at least 1 full month of security deposit prior to a tenant moving in. Number 4, we designate a parking, garage, or storage unit. This only applies for properties that have parking garages or storages assigned to tenants. Number 5, make sure all information is completed before giving the tenant his or her keys. First, make sure a guest card is completely full, including the following per applicant: full name and copy of ID of each applicant, email of each applicant, phone number of each applicant, emergency contact, pets, ID, social security number, vehicle information, and picture of license plate. Secondly, we need employment and income verification. We need to run the applicant's credit. We need employment verification form signed and completed by employer. We need income verification either via AppFolio or 3 months of the most recent bank statements, along with 2 months of recent pay stubs. It is obviously a lot easier to go through the verification of income through AppFolio. We would also need a landlord verification forms from current landlord and prior landlord fully completed and signed. Please note that it is important to get the prior landlord's verification because current landlord might want to get rid of this tenant, but prior landlord has no incentive to lie. So it's always important to get current landlord verification and prior landlord verification. Thirdly, we need a signed lease agreement with all the addendums. We would need the lease signed and initialed where applicable, and if the contract is a paper contract, meaning they're not signing online, the on-site manager and regional managers must make sure the document is signed and initialed in every single page. This is why doing it via AppFolio with electronic signatures is so much easier. We would also need to make sure that all amendments are printed and signed. Same thing. If they're signed via the system, it's easy to double check. If they're signed on paper, then the on-site manager and regional manager must make sure every single addendum is signed. RUBS, we need to make sure all on-site managers can explain to tenants what RUBS is and why they are responsible for their water, sewer, and trash usage. Moreover, it is important for the on-site managers and regional manager to be able to explain the calculation utilized in order to charge tenants for water usage. It's important to know that we utilize a third-party vendor called AJDM RUBS to allocate water usage. The formula utilized is we only charge tenants 79% of the water usage bill that the property management company receives. And that water usage is allocated to tenants by utilizing the formula set forth by the California. And the water usage is calculated to each unit dwelling by utilizing a formula set forth by California. This formula accounts for number of tenants and square footage of the unit. After RUBS, we need to make sure that a pet agreement, including the picture of the pet, if applicable, is signed by the tenants. If it's a service animal, then we need to make sure we have a service animal letter uploaded into AppFolio in their profile. For vehicles, we need to make sure we have a license plate number and a license plate picture. We also need to make sure we have storage or garage agreements, token and gate agreements, fob, clickers, or mobile pass numbers, and emails used for these parking functionalities. Payment plans. For payment plans, again, these are only allowed for people who have to pay more than 1 month of initial deposit. We can be flexible and allow payment plans for security deposits for pets or increased security deposits. We must make sure there's signed copies of all payment plans uploaded into the system. Then we need to make sure we have a total initial money due form before the applicants take possession of the unit. Then we need to confirm that the on-site manager has uploaded the move-in videos and move-in picture inspections with dates. After that, we need to make sure that the on-site manager and the tenants or the future tenants have done and completed the move-in inspection checklist, and on-site manager has detailed notes in this document. Then it is very important we have a copy of the renter's insurance of each applicant. And in the renter's insurance, executives by the sea must appear as an additional insured. We also need a copy of the SCG account number. This is to make sure that the tenant is being charged for their gas and electric and not the property management company. Finally, we're in the process of rolling out our welcome package, which will include a tenant handbook, an introductory packet on how to activate their online tenant portal via AppFolio, a welcome basket, and other things. But this will be rolled out in 2022. As always, documentation is critical. Management will document every step of the tenant selection process. Applicant files will be maintained by management in a physical file, uploaded to AppFolio, and then again in Google Drive. And finally, for the move-in process, for on-site managers and regional managers, please do not forget to welcome our tenants home and make them feel as welcomed as possible.